Yo, 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 what is up? What is up, YouTube boxing family? It's K Rod here, back with another good live stream for you guys today. And yeah, we will be having Tim Witherspoon Jr. coming on to the show, hopefully shortly, if he's not busy. So we're gonna be chopping it up with him, and yeah, I'm just gonna be talking on some boxing. I'll talk about Fundora and I'll talk about Conor Ben, popping dirty, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, man, there's just so much to really talk about. I'll talk about Conor Ben because Conor Ben, he's a hot topic right now, and I find it really weird that Conor Ben would be a victim of cheating, but I just don't understand why people are not severely outraged, because even though he is a black man, I don't understand why the outrage isn't super duper high volume on Conor Ben. And I think it's just simply due to the fact that Conor Ben, he has his father's name behind him, but at the end of the day, it's the sport itself still needs to be, how should I say, like people can't just get away with cheating. And with Conor Ben's case, I don't think it's right to cheat at all. I think with Conor Ben, he deserves to be held, accountable like anybody else. But I think where things are going right now with boxing is that when a fighter that doesn't, lie under the coincidentalists, and they're like a hopeless fighter or just a politically protected fighter, those fighters usually end up being, given, free passes to basically get off scot-free, to not commit ever such a crime on, what they, shouldn't be doing. But I just find it weird because it's like Conor Ben, I liked him a lot, on the come up, but it's just it never made any sense to me. I've always thought of Conor to be just like a chill, level-headed fighter that just wants to be great. But it's I just didn't really see anything dirty out of him. Now, granted, for those of you that want to know what he got caught with, he got caught with this thing called cleofemamine. Basically, what this drug is that, it's a top, it's either a testosterone booster for men, or it's to help women that are pregnant to, I guess, have their, I don't know, it's a really weird drug, but it's supposed to boost up your, estrogen or testosterone levels, and it obviously just it's a weird supplement that either men or women do take, and I think it's made for bodybuilding if I'm not mistaken. But I think based off of how the drug is perceived to be, you're not really supposed to how should I say, you're not really supposed to have such a massive advantage unless you're actually bodybuilding, and then that's the only thing that would actually make any sense. But I think either way, Conor Ben should be prosecuted at least, or there should be some form of of a punishment, if it ever goes to that level. But I just don't understand why when Conor Ben, who is a black fighter, who is mixed, quote unquote, because I believe he's white and black, but Conor, he doesn't get a free pass. I just don't understand why Conor Ben is not getting any outrage, because I obviously believe Conor, he would probably have a better chance of trying to get away with something like this again if it was somewhere, in America where he's not having to go through that much levels of high stress. But I don't know. I just find it weird, man. It's just like Conor Benn, he's a good fighter, but for him to do something crazy like this, like I just don't like the fact that Conor had to, like, take it to this level. And I just find it really weird at this stage of your career. You would do this at the point of fighting somebody who is a born rival to your father's legacy. And I don't get it. I think Conor Benn, I think he understood what the, what the premise was, coming into the situation. And I think based off of, what he had went through, in this, fight camp, it makes me look at him a lot more differently of how much weight he's actually cutting to make 147. But the immense physical deficiencies he carries as a welterweight, because the welterweight division is a very heavily stacked division. But the thing is about, but the welterweights are not supposed to be like, super duper mega droids, but welterweights are very, very, big people. And, these are either guys that are coming down from at least like 154 pounds to, I probably say maybe 175 or 160 at least. But it's like, that's pretty much like their maximum cutout, for that weight class. But I think Conor Benn, he has a good frame for 147, but it's like he's not really that big of a guy. Like, if anything, he's just as he would basically be like equivalent to Rolando Romero. The only difference is just that Rolando, he doesn't really carry like the same frame as Conor. And Rolly, he just has like a different build, when it comes to his physical physique. And I guess, like, when you take a look at how he's built, not every fighter has like those athletic features to put them to put themselves like at that level. So I guess I'm just like the one to think that every fighter is different. But I think based off of what we see out of Conor Benn, it's just like it just didn't make any sense to me. And I guess I'm just like the one that just has like a hard time believing that Conor Benn really has all this power at 147, because he's a very slimmed out guy in the division. I mean, even when he knocked out Adrian Granados, like, I didn't really think Conor Benn had like all the power to really hurt him. But Adrian Granados, he's not like your super duper great fighter, but it's like he was taking Conor's best shots and he was still eating them very well. The problem of what the manner is that you just have like, I guess, like certain deficiencies that you go through, especially in certain weight cuts. And every fighter, just I don't know, every fighter grows a certain type of way. And I think for men, it's very different for us because we have like a different build, pathing structure of how we grow. But for Conor Benn's case, I don't know, man. I just think based off of what we're seeing right now, it's just a huge double standard that Conor Benn is able to get away with the amount of scrutiny that people should massively outrage over. And I'm not to say like us Americans we have to be outraged over what British fighters go through, but it's like the level of corruption that British fighters do commit in the sport of boxing. It's like British fighters are not they're not at that level of like being clean compared to American fighting. And I don't know, man. I just think it's weird, I think there's just so many questions that need to be answered. And I think when it comes to Conor Benn, it would be best to have Conor Benn, be, a prime example of like, a black fighter that could be on the hopeless of being able to get away with this type of stuff. but I don't think it's going to be easy for him to do it like again. I think knowing that this fight was, not like a huge premier fight, but it's like, imagine if this is like Jaron Ennis going over to the UK, and he had to go through this mess. Like how does that sell to the American public that looks at that to be like a threat? Because now, we're going to be looking at you for your fighters of what you guys are very incapable of doing. And I think based off of, what we see, there's just no proper order in the UK when it comes to boxing. But I could be wrong, like not every UK fighter is a bad fighter, when it comes to, them having bad intentions. But then again, this is boxing. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say like boxing is, this like a perfect sport. Boxing is still evil because of but the evil politicized structures that the sport carries. But but we have to have like a certain, how should I say, like, there needs to be like a certain fair ground, when it comes to boxing, because it's just like there's just way too many political corners that people can cut to get away with the amount of corruption. And I just don't understand why that's being accepted, especially on a global level, because it's like there's just so many weird like occurrences of like what could ever happen in a potential fight. But yeah, like I was definitely looking forward for this fight. I was looking forward to Chris Eubank and Connor Benn to fight it out. Like I wasn't super duper hype on it, but when you take a look at like I guess at the matchup, I think Chris Eubank's style would have been a lot worse compared to Connor Benn's style, and I think Chris Eubank would have definitely like taken the victory. So either way, it's a good fight, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, like I just wanted to update you guys. Tim is like coming on soon. He has some things to do, so I'm just chilling at the moment. But for anybody that's in the chat, come through, chop it up, and yeah, like I'll keep it moving. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to well, I'm looking forward to the Sebastian Fundora card, only for like a couple fighters that I like on that card. Obviously we got Fundora versus Ocampo, but definitely looking forward to seeing Carlos Adames versus Juan Macias Montiel. And then we got my boy Michael Fox. He'll be fighting Kavalaskis on the preliminaries. And then we have Gabrielle Fundora, who's on the card. She's a very good fighter. We have that Elijah Garcia guy. He's a good ass fighter at 160. And then we got Justin Cardona. He's a monster. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy loaded talent in this line of divisions. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it because there's just like a lot of great matchups that I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hold on, it's not giving me the option to go in the room. All right, hold on, let me give you like a new link. Here's a new link. If that works. Yeah, let's see if that works. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if that could work. Let's see. But it should be all right. Yeah, Tim should be joining up soon, so bear with me, guys, and hopefully he can join in. Yeah, man, I'm definitely looking forward for Deontay Wilder next weekend, man. It's gonna be lit. I wish I could go to that fight, but I got way too many financial financial issues that I got to deal with. But man, I wish I got paid to like do boxing content. If I could do that, I got like paid to like go to boxing events I would love to be a judge in boxing. I either like to do that or just get paid to just do content. Like that would be awesome. I know that there's this like thing called like Hey Boxing, but I think it's like a Hey Boxing, Instagram sponsorship or something. Yeah, it's called like Hey Boxing. Yeah, something like that. Send me a new one. I put the wrong email. All right, yeah, I'll do that. Got you, Tim. Gotcha. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can't wait to talk to Ofacio tomorrow, man. I got Ofacio Falcon coming on, so I can't wait. You know, can't wait to give you guys that good discussion. Yeah, I'm gonna add like more music onto my StreamYard so I can like just chop it up with you guys. See if he's coming in. There we go. There we go.
Figured it out, man.
Yo, what's up, Tim?
What's going on, man?
Oh man, I'm chilling, man. I just had a good workout at the gym earlier, and I just saw him relaxing.
Nice, nice. I just got home. I still got my Witherspoon shirt on, as you can see.
Oh, nice. That's dope.
Thanks. I running the gym is a crazy thing. I'm there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I don't get out until 9 o'clock at night. Even though I want to get out earlier.
Yeah.
I'm here now. What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just talking boxing. I'm talking on some certain news that came out with the whole Conor Ben popping
Yeah.
dirty, and then Sebastian Fundora versus Ocampo and the undercard. That's about it.
All right. I do have some thoughts about the Conor Ben situation, and you're gonna be the first person to actually get it. I wanted to talk. Scott, you're cool with Skywalker, right?
Yeah. Me and Tim like
Yeah.
talk a lot.
We're gonna. I'm gonna talk about it with him tomorrow, but you got it before him, so I'm sitting here and I don't know what drugs it was or anything like that. I'm assuming that it was a performance enhancing drug. It kind of makes me think because Conor Ben's father was a fighter, and my father was a fighter. So I know, my father was my trainer. I know that Conor Ben's father, Nigel Ben, had some kind of, something to do with his training and everything. I'm not sure if he was the head trainer or not, but this is the point that I'm trying to get to is that you've been a professional fighter yourself, and you're gonna allow this to go on with your own child. To me, that lets me know that you allowed that to go on with yourself, possibly. Now, to me, it gets even deeper than that because we all know that Nigel Ben is the one that put Gerald McCullen in the situation that he's in. Now, if you're going to be willing to let your child take these performance enhancing drugs, what is that going to say about you and your career and what you did? I don't know how testing was back then. I don't know how things were back then, but to me, that's what I think about. I watched that fight maybe 2 or 3 times, and I'm thinking, was he on performance enhancing drugs itself? At that time when you put somebody into a vegetable state. These are just the thoughts that are going on in my mind. This is what I want to talk about the situation. Father and son. I don't want to say that they're a team because I don't know their situation as far as that goes. But you would think that Nigel Benn, who was a world champion himself, would have something to do with his son in that situation.
Yeah. Um, that's very similar to the like I said the Billy Collins versus Luis Resto situation.
Exactly.
Um, Billy's father even said like before and after the fight like Resto he's had like a history of looking.
Cheating.
Yeah, yeah, he's had like a massive history of cheating to
Yeah.
other fighters that he should have arguably lost to. And this is what gets me pissed off about commissions and promotional companies working together to infuse corruption, but there's no proper screening of like a fighter being like completely drug tested and to be like heavily reviewed coming into a fight.
Yeah.
And similar to any situation that we can bring back to from like the past, it just seems like that people are just okay with letting this happen.
Yeah.
But when it happens to somebody that we know that ends up either dying or just not coming
Yeah.
back, like coming back, but the same way, people want to say, "Oh, that's evil, that's terrible," blah blah blah. But it's like, can we keep up the same energy regardless of like what the skin color is of that fighter, to hold that fighter accountable,
Yeah.
have some like some legal prosecution, and
Yeah.
just massive
Well,
accountability over it.
we know that weed has no discrimination. Cocaine has no discrimination. Uh, you know, heroin has no discrimination on what color you are, whatever. If it's going to take a part of you, it's going to take a part of you. Steroids, performance enhancing drugs, has no discrimination. The whole country of Russia was banned from the Olympics. There's not many African Russian Olympic athletes. Um, Now, when it comes to boxing, the downfall is that it's every man for themselves. So, where in some sports like weightlifting, there's a clean league and then there's a performance enhancing league where there are two different divisions that you can go into. I don't know if you're versed in weightlifting, but there are a clean division and there is a performance enhancing division where they know who they're competing against. Same thing with figure competitions when they're in their posing. There's clean uh posing competitions and there's performance enhanced competitions. In boxing, it's when you get popped for a drug test that we find out that you've been on performance enhancing drugs. There's there's nothing to hide about it. We've known people that have gotten popped for it before. I don't really want to say too many names, but some of these guys are making millions on pay per view now. Some of these guys have made millions on pay per view. They're retired now, or whatever. And we know these things, but there's no one saying, look, if you want to take performance enhancing drugs, then you got to fight somebody else that's on performance enhancing drugs. These people are taking advantage of people that are not having that leverage, that advantage over them because no one is regulating that. I'm not. I'm totally about clean boxing. I'm totally about in any sport. I would want us to be clean. I understand that you might not hit as many home runs, but if we're talking about sport competition, these playing fields have to be level. And in boxing, most of all, because boxing is not just hitting a ball, you're hitting someone's face, you're hitting their brain. That person should have the right to know that the person in front of them is taking something. That's what it boils down to for me. When it comes to these performance enhancing drugs, go ahead, take them, but you got to take them against other people that take them. It's almost the same thing as if transgender people wanted to box against a female, a guy that turned into a woman wanted to fight another woman. I don't think that without getting too political, I, I
Yeah.
think that I think that that's an advantage that that person is not fair to the female who was born with different, genetics. Um, the same thing with steroids. It's not fair to someone that's going in all natural.
Yeah. Um, I guess like a better setup, like especially for me, like when I used to wrestle in high school, I think somebody off of my team he got kicked off of the team because they actually do like but the yearly drug testing, and they also do random drug testing, especially at a high school and
Right,
college level. But minus let the state getting involved. But if you just have that setup where even in the NBA, like they do random drug testing almost
right,
every single week or month or whatever. But
right,
it's like, to me, if I'm a business owner, you don't want nobody coming into your job that you create for people to work in to screw up the consumer, reputation.
right.
Like for your gym, like for example, if I wanted to work for your gym but I'm coming into work all juiced up on cocaine or
You're
methamphetamine.
not gonna be there. You're gonna get
Yeah,
fired.
yeah. So people should treat it just like that. You are your own business owner, coming into the ring. So
Yeah,
in any marketized situation, there needs to have like there needs to be a level of consensus where people want these certain stipulations put in to make sure that there's no breach of contract or breach of breach of consent, because
yeah,
that's going up against your consensual, you know like a consensual, like like a how should I say, like your consensual views of what you wanted the fight event to be
yeah,
made in the first place. So
yeah.
I
The
just think
common,
yeah.
the common fan, wants it to be a fair playing field. They might understand that this fighter might be a little bit old, or this fighter might be coming off a 2 month layoff or whatever. But they don't expect for one fighter to be enhanced more than the other fighter. You know, as far as uh, chemicals go, or as far as substances go, there are certain things that shouldn't be tested. I don't think that they should be tested for marijuana. That's not a performance enhancing drug.
No.
You know, um, but the whole thing that makes me think um, that it's never going to get fixed is because at the end of the day, it's all about money. You still have people that what was it, Big Baby Miller who failed the test and they still let him fight? Like, that is because money. When you have beer distributors that are dependent on these fights, when you have referees, judges, promoters, families dependent on these fights to still take place because they don't get paid if these fighters don't perform, then we're not going to fix the problem. There's so much money to be made in these sports uh, when it comes to performance enhancing, when it comes to people never finding out. And then we find out, wow, Lance Armstrong, the most decorated bicyclist of all time, was blood doping. Oh, what should we do? Should we cancel him or whatever? By that time, how many people that they never mention their name has made $1 million off of that athlete? You know? So how can we compete with the dollar bill when it comes to these promoters and when it comes to these sanctioning bodies still putting on shows, still only suspending people for a month, still only finding people breadcrumbs for risk for pretty much uh, risking somebody else's life. They don't even have their opponent's life in any regard. You know what I mean? And it all comes down to me to the dollar bill. How do us as people that want to see a clean system fight a system that's built on a dollar bill that has corrupted it? It is a very hard fight.
Yeah, because I mean, this is where like more economics on a macro level have to come in, and you have to bring with the political philosophy like with it, because that's like the biggest takeaway from it, because
Yeah.
people don't want to have a sit down philosophical discussion to
No.
any to any like disingenuous casual. They
Yeah.
just want to just go to the event and just expect everything to be okay, but it's like you are not educated on what goes on behind closed doors. And
Right.
I think for me, like the best solution is that there needs to be more of like a community built like around it. And I think honestly, like I think Devin Haney's model of how he sets up his fights would be like the best route to go,
Hmm.
because if fighters, if they had their ability to become their own bosses as a free agent rather than just signing with a promotional company and
Yeah.
having to be screwed over,
Yeah.
like like to a theoretical sense, if like let's just say, like for instance, Deontay Wilder, if he had his own fighters as a management company for himself, and he made those fighters their own bosses, kind of similar to what the PBC does to their fighters. We
Yeah.
don't control you, we're going to manage and advise
And
which.
make money with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's where I think what the corruption can be killed off.
Well,
Where
and but it's a very noble thing, a very good thing to bring up, but at the end of the day, greed rings out in boxing. Only reason why mafia could get involved back in the day is because racketeering and all that money was just so great. Um, Devin Haney is lucky, him, Floyd Mayweather, all those guys that have been able to promote themselves are lucky to be able to do that. They actually fought so good for so long that they got there. But we have, for every one of them, there's 100 fighters, maybe 200 fighters that don't have that possibility. They might have that same model in their mind, and then boom, you lose one fight, and then that whole model doesn't work for you anymore. Now you got to beg for a fight, or you know what I mean. So I understand the want to be able to do that for fighters to take over, but whenever there's a situation where someone could be taken advantage of, like promoter and boxer situation where the boxer might not be educated enough, he might come from a poor place, he might not have the support system that other people have. It's going to be very hard because what they do in this sport is they dangle carrots. They promise you this, they do that. Then we go off in that direction, and then you figure out, wow, it's been 2 years and shit hasn't figured itself out. I've been wasting 2 years. So the common road for most fighters is not that of a Devin Haney where they can just be like, wow, I'll promote other fighters. I'll promote my own self. He has been very lucky and very privileged to be able to do that. Um, what I really don't have a solution because there used to be people that said let's make a union and all that, but that's never been able to been fixed. Uh, I really don't have a solution to where how fighters can make this sport better, and it shouldn't really be up to them. It should be regulated. It should be like the NBA. It should be like the NHL. These guys should only have to focus on boxing, but then you find out like, you know, we have to be political as well. We have to stand up for ourselves. It's easy for me to sit here and say that because I'm not fighting anymore. But these guys that still depend on promoters, they depend on people. It's not as easy. They might have blinders on because they have to focus on fighting. At the end of the day, your fists are what determine everything. If you have an undefeated record now, if you're able to knock people out, people are going to buy tickets. Then that's what it depends on. But there's so many people in this sport that can even be good, but just don't have that opportunity. Um, I don't really have a solution. I'll be honest with you right now. It's like I used to think a union was a solution. I used to think that the government was a solution. Um, and it's not just our sport. I'm looking at music. Music, they get musicians get taken advantage of.
Yeah,
Comedy, comedians get taken advantage of. You know, a lot of these solo sports where you're someone with a talent and you have to depend on managers, you have to depend on promoters. A lot of the times, the business and the money and everything gets involved, and you got these athletes that are willing to risk it all to get an edge on somebody. It's a mess. It's a mess, man.
yeah, because I can definitely see your point of view, and like honestly, if we were talking basketball, we could easily find solutions because if we don't like something out of what the NBA, there's plenty of other ideas where NBA fans want to flock over to Big Three or whatever,
Just
you know,
another option.
yeah. But it's like in boxing, it's just so, how should I say, it's so religiously enamored at this point where people think that the savagery cycle is okay, but at what point does like the breaking point begin? Because it's like this isn't supposed to be like this. Like boxing, in theory, should be like the best sport in the world on a marketing level. You should have been making
No,
millions of dollars.
it is the best sport in the world. That's the sick part of it all.
Yeah,
You go to any country and they have boxing. Any country in the world, combat is going to happen. I spent a lot. Sorry for cutting you off. I'm sorry,
oh no
but
no no, it's
I
all good.
I spent time in the UK. Like 5 years I spent in England, and their number two sport behind soccer is boxing. You go to Philippines, boxing.
Boxing,
Spain, football, which is soccer, and boxing. South
Nigeria.
America, Africa, you name it. And yet it's the least regulated sport. They can't find a way to have an Olympics just for boxing.
Yeah, because it's not, what the market's having, what the how should I say, the inability to correct it. It's definitely some form of politicized, like monopolization that has
Yeah.
been structured over the past couple hundred years. That
I don't
if
know. Maybe if they made like boxing teams, you had to enter a draft, and make
yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah, that's
you know,
another idea that I was about to bring up too,
right.
because there was some social circle discussions where people say why is it that all these other sports they have draft combines but why not for boxing? And I think
Yeah,
especially at at a youth level or people that are coming from long years being put into the amateurs, there should be like a tryout system, so therefore people
yeah,
can actually be scouted of how good they are, so therefore when matchmaking does begin for that fighter, they're not being put up against somebody that has all this quote unquote experience coming from the amateurs, which
yeah,
that doesn't translate, into the pros. But it's
yeah.
like still, it's for I'll just use Lomachenko as a great example. Like, how can you tell me that prospects exist in boxing when a guy like him is able to fight a title fight in two
Like,
fights,
yeah,
lose to Orlando Salido, in which he avoided Salido in the rematch, in which Salido he should have been had that title, even though he missed weight. But
yeah.
it's like, why did the WBO break their rules to say, hey, you can refight for that title again?
Because he's a ticket seller.
Yeah,
You know, um, how many fights? Not to change. How many does he still have under 20 fights? Lomachenko?
Lomachenko, he's at like 19 fights. I
Yeah,
think
that's
he's heading
crazy.
into. Yeah, like I'll take a look at that right now for you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, he's
Um,
fighting Jermaine Ortiz. I know that. That's gonna be a fun fight.
yeah.
Yeah, he
The,
is.
the thing about having a boxing league and all that is good, but there's so many components to, you need people inside the league that aren't that good.
Yeah,
Boxing right now kind of depends on journeymen and things like that to help the people that might not be good today be good tomorrow. You know, there's just so many integral parts. I could see maybe having to have so many fights and then you can try out to be in this union league where you get more benefits or whatever, or maybe they have a minor league that the guys that aren't so good. I don't know. There's just so
yeah,
many.
because in basketball, when you get
Yeah,
into high school, you have multiple options of either playing professional overseas, or you could go straight into the NBA G League where you only have to pay like what 30 to almost like $100 for like a tryout. But it's like once you're in, you're in.
right,
You're getting your name out there. But
right.
for boxing, like you don't have that because it's
Nah,
like you don't know where to start.
it has to be the perfect storm almost. You
Yeah,
know,
because
yeah,
I know boxing can have stuff like can have stuff like that, and then on top of that, if you had like tournaments where like let's just say in a perfect world, boxing has finally come to a point where the corruption and all this crazy nonsense is out of the picture, it would
yeah.
be on fire.
So what
It
you're
would,
trying to say is like we could really find who's the true champion at that point.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because on top of that, think about it. Like for title fights in boxing, you should get paid more money in a championship fight. Like you shouldn't have any money taken out of your purse because you are the product. But on top of
yeah.
that, like if you're winning all these championship fights, why is it that in other sports, like to which I've talked to one person that had like another relative that played in the NBA, but in the NBA's rules for any team that wins a championship, you get paid more money, but on top of that, your contract increases. So that means off of your
Exactly.
next negotiating deal, those sponsorships on top of that money, that doubles
Yeah.
coming into your new contract.
Yeah, the way things are right now is that you win a championship, then you're guaranteed another big fight at least, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. You're guaranteed one more big fight at least, and if you lose that, then you better hope that you lost it in a way that you can make another big payday. Um, it's I don't know. uh, I don't see that being a situation with the Toronto Raptors or with in baseball, the Giants, San Francisco Giants, they lose the championship, they still getting the same salary next year, or even more because they made it to the championship game. But in boxing, you lose that one match, that championship match, you got to rebuild your life and all that. And in a way, it's combat sports. You want to climb a ladder, you want to be on top. I get it. But to get on top with no health insurance is a hard thing. To get on top with no retirement is a hard thing. To get on top when other people are using performance enhancing drugs to get on top and you want to be ethical and you want to be clean in a sport is a hard thing. It's easy for these guys to be subjected to corruption. And me, I feel like the reason why I wasn't subjected to corruption is because of who my father was. My father wasn't someone who was subjected to corruption. So that's what comes full circle.
Yeah.
It comes full circle because Nigel Benn, I've seen him with Connor. I feel like I've seen him holding the pads with Connor. You mean to tell me that you don't know? You don't know that your son is taking something. Now, not Chris Eubank. What was it? what's his dad's name? Is that
Chris
Chris Eubank?
Eubanks Senior. Or
Yeah, senior, senior. It's a rumor. I don't know how many games they were playing. They were talking a lot about his weight. You know, he's eating on social media, and the dad saying he's going to pull him out of the fight. Nevertheless, the dad was saying that he's going to pull him out of the fight for his health. He didn't say, "Son, let's go take performance enhancing drugs." At least I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, because I don't I don't know what his test results were, but um at least Chris Eubank Sr. said, like, look, I'm looking out for my son. At least this is what we're reading. On the other hand, I've not heard anything from Nigel Benn. And I have a son that lives in the UK, and I've never met these two, but I met Khan, I met
Oh, really?
yeah, I met Kell Brook, you know,
Yeah, I like Cobra. He's
yeah,
awesome.
I spent a lot of time over there. I know a lot of their champions and all that. I studied Nigel Benn when he fought Gerald McCullough. I studied Chris Eubank. You know, I studied these guys, and they all seem like class guys. But I know that this business is crazy. For someone to let their son get popped for this is ridiculous. And to say that he's not accountable, I'm gonna just put it out there, is ridiculous too. You're a professional champion, world champion. You know better. You know. So that lets me know that this is not just something that is uh, a one thing off. This is something that has been going on for generations, probably. I would bet that it's been going on for generations more than not. They're not going to just say, "Hey, Connor, why don't you take some drugs?"
Yeah,
That's just my opinion, and I'll go on record saying that. And until I hear Nigel Benn say something, that's my thoughts.
yeah, I definitely agree, and I I personally think this makes Connor Ben look way worse because,
He was
like,
coming up. He was
yeah,
coming up. At first, I remember his first couple of fights, they were writing him off. Oh, he's not going to be none. You know what I mean? He's not like his dad or whatever. And boom, all of a sudden he exploded, and people had promise in him. And now, look, we know why. We know
yeah.
why.
I was going to say the person that actually gave him the performance enhancing drugs, he's the same guy that worked with Tyson Fury to have,
Who also got popped before?
yeah, because people try to act
What's
like,
his name?
hold on, let me take a look at his name. Give me 1 second. Like, it's some weird name that he has. His name is Doctor Uz. Doctor Uz.
I'm not
Uzi.
familiar. I'm not
Like,
familiar.
I don't know.
And
You
then
know, people,
it's like Tyson. Look, Tyson Fury, you seem to be a good guy, man. You seem to. I saw you boxing with hair, and then all of a sudden your hair was gone.
yeah,
But all of a sudden your hair was gone, and you're big as hell. You
he was
mean to
never
tell?
that big coming up either. Tyson Fury was like not even close to the amount of weight that he had leading up to Walder, and
Come on.
even like even in the Klitschko fight, the John McDermott fight, all these fights where he ended up cheating more, like that clearly shows that he's not a natural big heavyweight. He's a very thin, lean
Yeah,
heavyweight.
it's. Oh my! It just goes back to money, man. Goes back to money. Um, it does,
Yeah,
and I love this sport so much, but just turns me off. We're already fighting as fighters. We're already fighting, getting as much as we should deserve. Now to put a stain on that, it means that to me, you're not a real fighter. You're a fighter. I'm not gonna. And steroids don't teach you the technique that you need to do. The steroids don't teach you how to slip, roll, and block punches, but they help way more than somebody that's just eating oatmeal for breakfast. Like it's just I don't know, man. I don't think that I've ever fought anybody on steroids. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Um, I'm pretty sure I haven't, but I would be upset. And I got friends, Steve Cunningham. He fought Tyson Fury. We train in the same gym, and he's upset. He for years he's had a chip. Anybody that's getting caught with PEDs, he's calling them out. You know,
Yeah.
and it's not fair to him and his family. It's not fair to these guys and their family who risk their lives, try to entertain the community, and they're doing it naturally, and these other guys are coming in juiced. Just not right. If you want to be juiced, fight another person that's juiced.
Yeah, that's pretty much like the only, axiomatic solution. Because otherwise, it needs to be, aggressively taken out where, theoretically in a perfect world, you should always come in clean because there shouldn't be any excuse to say that, oh, well, I need this supplement, I need that supplement. No, like you could save your supplements after, let the fight. But to
Yeah.
come with those supplements or those performance enhancing drugs to help you win a fight, that's just really pathetic because it's like I'll even talk about like certain fighters that that were caught back in like the past for
Yeah,
PD.
you can bring them up because I didn't want to say their names.
Um, yeah, I was gonna bring up who got caught? Shane Mosley, right? Didn't he get caught?
Jane Mosley, James Tony,
James Tony,
Roy Jones,
Roy Jones Jr. Yeah,
Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo,
Uh, there's so many, so many. That's just what I could think
Antonio
about.
Margarito, maybe I think.
I don't know if Margarito. It would make sense.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
but
pretty sure he
those are
did.
just guys off the top of my head that I
Yeah,
can think of. That have gotten popped, and these guys have made millions, millions. I love them. It's crazy because it's like I love Shane Mosley.
yeah, I like
I
Shane.
I've been in his presence before. Um, it is. I don't know, man. It makes you question how great people really are.
Yeah, I don't
What
look
you
at.
what you need to do is you need to get someone to counteract what I'm saying. Someone that knows steroids and someone that's gonna say, well, this. That's what you need to do to get on your show.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't know anybody like that, but like I'm pretty sure to all the weird trolls that that like to talk crap over about the internet, they
Yeah,
they'll try to lie like out of that mindset. But
right.
I just think like everything that athletes have done to be successful, with the with the help of cheating, I've never looked at them as like all time greats because it's just like you can't call yourself at the best if you gotta cheat at the best.
I mean, you could be the best in the all steroid league. Barry Bonds can't say that he's the best when he's juicing, and the second, or no, not the second, because McGuire was juicing too, and
Jack,
so
yeah.
was so when the fourth guy, when the
Alex
fourth guy,
Rodriguez,
yeah,
I'm watching you.
well, we got to figure out how long down the line the juicing stopped, but when that person is trying to compete, there's no competition, you know, KFC chicken is bigger than Popeyes. You can't compete. I like the flavor and all, but when it comes to strength, KFC got Popeyes beat because the chicken is bigger. They can feed more families. I'm just like, that that- I'm trying to do as many analogies that I can, so as many people that watch your podcast can understand my frustration and where I'm coming from. You know, the music industry is like boxing. You know, the steroid use is not fair, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't know, man. You got me on here. I wasn't really expecting to talk about Connor, but I was, and now you got me heated.
See, I don't can I was gonna ask as far as the process of getting a boxing fight screened, do you go through the state commission first before you go through like a third party to get drug tested? How
So
does it actually work?
I can't speak for everybody because every state, every country, every place has their own rules. Like for instance, I've been drug tested in Pennsylvania. I have 16 pro fights, so Pennsylvania tested me about 4 times. Um, I don't know. I never was blood tested by them. The only blood test that we had to submit was if you had HIV, hepatitis, those kind of drugs. They never asked for a blood sample for doping. I have had to take urine tests. I don't know if that can show performance enhancing drugs. I'm not that smart when it comes to that. Um, but what your original question was how they do test us? Was that
Yeah.
your so it's not enough. And this is the other thing that needs to be spoken that nobody talks about. It needs to be done in amateur boxing as well.
Oh, really? That never happens?
Never, I'm never, I'm the Pennsylvania State Golden Glove champ
Ooh!
in 2004. I'm old now. I'll be 38 next month.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
thank you. In 2004, I won the Pennsylvania State Golden Glove championship, and not once before that, not once after that, in the amateurs did I ever get tested. Not even just that. Never even asked for a blood test to see if I had HIV, hepatitis C or B. All you need is a physical and a birth certificate, and you can be an amateur boxer. I don't know about Olympics. I don't. Maybe they probably test more at that level. I never went that far, but anybody could pass anything. You could be somebody that has HIV and you can still box because they're not testing for that at the amateur level. Like, but you're in the gym every day boxing. Some people might have nosebleeds, or whatever, but they're not testing you because you're an amateur. Professionals, at least in Pennsylvania, you got to get tested once every 6 months, something like that. For that, but when it comes to drugs, well, I don't think there's enough money in it at the local level for them to even care. It's when you get to the pay-per-view level and all that that they're like, oh yeah, let's test more. Or when you get to the main event level, I've been to main event a couple of times where it was mandatory for me to give urine samples. But I always felt like that was just for, marijuana or something small. I never heard of anybody getting popped at the lower level for uh, performance enhancing drugs. I've never heard. I've always heard it. Maybe their blood test came back where they had hepatitis, or their blood test came back where they tested positive for weed. But never any, in my recollection. And you got to remember, I had my own career. That's the second career. My dad's career was first. I grew up through that. Then I had my career. We have 5 professional fighters in my family, and I never heard on the local level or anything like that of anybody getting popped for steroids. Never.
Hmm. Yeah, that is a very, very dark mirror to really go through.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I love boxing. I'll never. The sport is great. It's just a corrupt place. I love it, man. And it's one of those things like you can't live with it, can't live without it. So we'll all get through this whole Connor situation. I might be talking, junk about his dad right now, which I feel like a lot of people might should put some pressure on him so we can get some more answers. But at the end of the day, whatever happens to Connor happens. We still got other stuff to look forward to. We got, you know, hopefully, you know, uh, Crawford and Spence fight one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
We got these heavyweights that are about to mix it up. I really feel like the heavyweight division is really about to mix it up. And we're about to see some new blood. Joe Joyce might do something. We also got, what do we have? Deontay Wilder versus uh,
Robert Helenius.
Hellenius. I really feel like that's going to be a better fight than people are giving credit to. Um, and we have a lot to look forward to. We can't let this one little thing, stop us from loving the sport that we all grow to love. And we have to accept that it's part of it, and it's going to happen again. Unfortunately. But you still got our favorites in the sport. We still have a reason to tune in every weekend. So meanwhile, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but I'm mad about the whole him getting. I was looking forward to the fight. I was looking
Yeah,
forward to it, and now it's a disappointment. We got egg on our face. We were looking. That was like nowhere near Crawford and Spence, but the excitement about it, the entertainment around it was great.
yeah.
And now we have to, we got Clarissa Shields and
Uh,
what's oh my god, I can't think of her name.
F. Savannah Marshall.
Yeah, so that's the next fight on the horizon. So
I
hopefully,
don't understand why they push it to Deontay Wilder's day because that is such a bad promotion.
oh, they're on the same day.
Yeah, and Devin Haney.
In Devin Haney.
Yeah.
So we got. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't be paying attention to dates. I just it's Friday or Saturday. I'm watching. But so we got what? We got a fight in England,
Yeah, you got
and then
Devin and Cambosos in Australia, and then
Australia
Larissa and Savannah on the same day
and
as
England.
Wilder and Hellenius.
Where's Wilder? Is that Vegas,
Wilder's in Brooklyn at the Barclay.
Brooklyn? Oh, so it's good. That's three different time zones. We just got to watch boxing all day.
Yeah,
Uh, So I mean, I think that it might work out because the Savannah Marshall fight and Clarissa Shields won't. That'll be probably about 5 o'clock our time.
yeah, 5, 6.
Yeah, and then if we can stay awake, Deontay Wilder will be 11:30 around that time.
Yeah, that's gonna work out. So
Yeah, it'll work out. But look, man, I had a good time talking to you. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm gonna come on again. I promise. I know I'm a difficult person to get a hold of. Um,
yeah,
but I appreciate you inviting me on, and we're gonna have to do it again. I gotta go now, but
okay,
we're gonna do this again, bro.
yes, sir. I appreciate you for coming on, and can't wait to talk with you soon.
No problem, man. Have a good one, yo.
Yes, sir.
All right,
I'll see you later.
bye.
All right, all right. Uh, yeah, I think that's about it, guys. We don't really have anything special unless something happens with Fundora and Ocampo. But yeah, let's talk about those fights. I'm only going to talk about like the co-main event and the main event, but yeah, we got Sebastian Fundora versus Carlos Ocampo, and we got Carlos Adames versus Juan Macias Montiel. That's going to be good. But before I get to that, salute to Tim Witherspoon for coming on. Appreciate talking with him. Very good person, and yeah, you know, long live the Witherspoon, legacy. But yeah, that was a good conversation, and I had a lot of good, good dialogue, being shared. So Definitely like to do that like again and chop it up. But yeah, let's talk about Fundora versus Ocampo. Um, I think Fundora is gonna wash Ocampo. Um, I think this fight is set up for Fundora to win, but if Ocampo, if he comes into this fight anywhere different from the Spence loss, and he looks absolutely different to the point where he could dog walk Fundora or hurt him with really good inside pressure shots. I think Fundora, he's definitely in for like a really bad main event, exposure session. So I don't know how Fundora is going to look coming into this fight, but Fundora, if everything is played well into his favor, I guarantee you he's going to do anything you know, in his power to be like very successful. And I don't want to think that he's going to try cheating because I have speculation to believe that there could have been cheating in the Lubin fight, but then again, that's another story for a different day. But I just think based off of what we're seeing right now, it's like Sebastian Fundora, um, he has a lot of great skills to fight tall, but he just doesn't use it enough because it's like he doesn't use his jab to the point where it's like a good like Errol Spence type jab where he pressures you in, and on top of that, if he had good defensive reads with it, it's like he would be a bona fide boxer puncher, but that's not Fundora's style. Fundora's style is very come forward, I'm gonna walk you down type of southpaw, inside fighting style, and that's a very good style to have because his style is working, but for him to get hit in those exchanges, I think that's what's going to cost him. So I think if Fundora works on his defense, he works on that inside movement with his feet, and he definitely needs to work on his footwork. If he could work on his footwork and like the reflexes with like his upper body movement, Fundora would be a absolute killer. But it's just that he's not at that level yet, and I think he's still learning. But Fundora, he's a beast, man. I like his style. He's a very good, exciting fighter. But do I think he's gonna stay like that at the high level at 154? No. I think Fundora, once you put him in there with somebody that's not afraid to hurt you and put you down, then I think that's where the the level of his archetype skill set will definitely be challenged and he'll go down. Um, on top of that, let's talk about for the co-main event. It's the same thing with Carlos Adames. I think that's going to be a war between him and Juan Montiel. Montiel, obviously, he's not the greatest fighter out there, but I think if Montiel, if he surprises us from him having more improvements from the Charlo loss, I think Montiel, he has a good shot of potentially stopping Carlos Adames. Adames, he's a good fighter. He's only been dropped like once in his career, I believe, to Patrick Teixeira, but still, Adames, he's a killer, absolute monster. He has insane, upper body reflexes to put himself in good position to win the fight. But I think Adames, he's gonna go in there and he's gonna he's gonna dog walk Juan Montiel early game and mid game. But I think late game, that's where Montiel, if Montiel keeps his conditioning up, the whole 9 yards, then I think Carlos Adames, he's going to be in trouble because he tends to fight very, very, very sluggish when he gets into those later rounds. So that could be something where we don't know what's going to end up happening. But I just don't put my money on Carlos Adames all the way through because we've seen him hurt before, and he just has that lack of defensive IQ factor to keep his hands, up at all times, so he doesn't get hit with those big, insane looping shots that he gets hit with. But either way, that should be a good matchup. But I think, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it what I have for this show. This will be uploaded to the podcast, so salute to Tim Witherspoon for coming on, and I got more content coming on the way for the channel right about now. got like 4, 5, 6 videos of league content and other gaming content. So be sure to take a look at that, or anybody. Like it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Thank you guys for coming through, and yeah, I think that's about it, man. So yeah, um, I appreciate you guys for coming through, and yeah, give me 1 second, and I will do what I have to do. And I will see you guys very, very soon. But I'm gonna play like my outro, and I will be out of here because StreamYard is giving me the ability to do it. So I'd like to try it out. So yeah. Anyways, appreciate you guys for coming through. Thank you, and salute to Tim Witherspoon Jr. coming through. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Salute to the mighty LDBC, and salute to the TWT. And yeah, man, I am out. Peace out. Have a great night, and I will be back with more boxing content for you guys. The grind don't stop. We're pushing ourselves up to 4K and higher. And hey, if it's a career to make out of it, or another, job opportunity to do this, I will do it. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys later, and thank you very much. And goodbye. Here's the outro. All right, see you guys.